Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us here on ANF Plus. You know, we continue to follow the latest out of New Orleans as investigators are learning more about the suspect in that attack that happened on Bourbon Street. And here's a look at some footage of the scene captured a little bit earlier this morning. Investigators still searching for a lot more answers, though, after they say that a man rammed his truck through a crowd of dozens of people in New Orleans yesterday. At least 15 people were killed, at least 39 others were injured. And now the FBI has released a new photo of the alleged suspect. So here are some images of the suspect, 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar. Agents say that he rammed the crowd, that the suspect exited what appeared to be a rented Ford truck and fired at police. He was killed in the gunfight with police. 2 officers were wounded in all that. And the suspect has ties to Georgia and actually got his computer degree right here in Atlanta at Georgia State University. Now, also this morning, we're learning about another local connection to what happened in New Orleans. A Georgia college student fighting for her life in the New Orleans attack has now been identified. She's a 19-year-old student at the University of Georgia. Her name is El Isel, and she's among the dozens hurt in that attack on Bourbon Street in the French Quarter. Atlanta News First Chelsea Beinfor spoke with students in Athens who say it feels all too close to home.
Most UGA students are still home for the holidays, but some traveled to New Orleans to watch the Dogs play in the Sugar Bowl. A trip meant for celebrations quickly turned to chaos Wednesday when authorities say a man plowed down Bourbon Street into crowds of people who were ringing in 2025.
New Orleans is going through a lot. It's gone through a lot.
Officials say the attack killed at least 15 people and injured 35, including a University of Georgia student.
Definitely praying for them and their family. Obviously, it's just a major tragedy, and to hear that one of our own obviously was affected by this tragedy, it's upsetting for the Dog family.
In a statement, UGA President Jere Morehead said in part, "We have learned that a University of Georgia student was critically injured in the attack and is receiving medical treatment. I have spoken to the student's family and shared my concern, support, and well wishes on behalf of the entire UGA community."
It's really sad. I just got to UGA. I'm a grad student here, and I have just experienced a very welcoming community since being here. And it's just really sad to hear that one of our own, something so tragic could happen to someone just wanting to show some school spirit and go to the game.
Right now, it's unclear if any other UGA fans or alumni are among the victims, but students in Athens say the attack feels personal.
It kind of hits close to home that it's one of our students, but yeah, it almost makes it feel like it could be any one of us. So just praying for all the victims and their families.
Chelsea Beinfor, Atlanta News First.
And the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans was postponed a day because of the attack. UGA and Notre Dame were supposed to face off last night at Superdome. I'm sure you recall, about a mile away from where it happened. It's now scheduled to be played this afternoon, and the winner will face Penn State in the Orange Bowl on January 9th. Sports Director Bailey Burmaster has more.
The situation in New Orleans remains an evolving and fluid situation. The Sugar Bowl releasing an official notice saying that the game will be played on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern after being postponed due to those early morning terrorist attacks. The decision was made in coordination with federal, state, and local authorities, as well as the College Football Playoff, ESPN, the SEC, the University of Georgia, the University of Notre Dame, and Caesars Superdome. A big reason is a lot of the officer resources used for the game are currently involved in a very active investigation on this matter. That gives them more time to secure additional security resources. An unimaginable act many are struggling to comprehend.
I woke up, we had a slew of text messages, didn't even know what was going on,
phone
and
calls.
was kind of confused. And then, of course, you send the post on Facebook, watch the news, and very disturbing.
Is what?
Very disturbing.
Something to massively note, the Superdome is scheduled to host Super Bowl 59 in just about over a month. The city has been ramping up security measures since that announcement. In fact, Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry said in a press conference that he was ready to set an emergency declaration for Thursday in preparation for the Super Bowl and Mardi Gras. However, things remain very fluid. Reporting in New Orleans, Bailey Burmaster, Atlanta News First.
we turn now to the events commemorating former President Jimmy Carter, who passed away on Sunday at the age of 100. The Carter Center in Atlanta expecting a lot of people come pay their respects once his coffin is actually brought there on Saturday. And people are encouraged to stop by. But Atlanta News First political reporter Doug Reardon shares what you need to know to plan ahead.
We do hope that people want to do exactly that, and we expect large crowds.
In the days after Jimmy Carter's death, staff at the Carter Center have been preparing and planning for a final goodbye to Georgia's only president.
He wanted to lay in repose here to give people a chance to say goodbye, and so he could say goodbye before he flies up to Washington, D.C.
Paige Alexander, CEO of the Carter Center, said public viewing will start at 6 p.m. on Saturday and run 24 hours a day until Tuesday at 6 a.m. when Carter will be moved to Washington. People will only be able to get in through the Carter Center's main entrance on foot. No parking will be available on site. You can bike, walk, scooter, and MARTA will run shuttles from the King Memorial Station, though there won't be parking there either. The Carter Center, where the former president and first lady led humanitarian efforts for decades, was a home away from home for the two.
They had an apartment here, and they would sleep 1 week out of every month for 40 years on a pull-down Murphy bed.
It was Carter's request to lie in repose here instead of at the Georgia Capitol because of his deep connection to the mission of the center. The public will be able to view his casket and take a few moments with the man who inspired so many.
We encourage that. I mean, it's a very personal moment for people who have wonderful memories.
Doug Reardon, Atlanta News First.
And you can join us in honoring the late 39th president. We'll be streaming the procession and services on Atlanta News First on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and YouTube. Just search Atlanta News First. All right, let's turn now to a look at the forecast. Beautiful day outside, but it's really, really chilly out there. Here's First Alert meteorologist Cutter Martin. And it definitely feels like January.
It does. All that sunshine a little deceiving up on Lake Lanier. Gorgeous day. Lake is barely moving. Winds are light at the moment. Just a little bit of a breeze. In fact, it was a little breezier earlier today. But in general, we're seeing improvement in the First Alert forecast. And that's a good thing because it was freezing this morning. Literally, Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport was quite cold. Temperature, we'll get the official numbers in a little bit later this afternoon into early evening. But looking like our low settled down to about 30 degrees earlier this morning, which of course is officially yet another freeze at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. Again, I want to thank you for tuning in and for watching. I'm First Alert meteorologist Cutter Martin here to keep you updated on the forecast. A lot to talk about in the First Alert forecast. And we will be kind of diving into not changes in the forecast, but some alterations, we'll say. Again, no outright changes to the 7-day forecast, but when we last streamed yesterday at 8 p.m., since that time on Atlanta News First Plus, we have added another First Alert weather day. Really, again, not a change in the forecast, but just an update to the timing of impactful weather set to move into North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. So, again, we're going to get to the nitty-gritty of what we have coming up. First Alert Weather Day is now Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, not just Monday and Tuesday. I do want to bring you into today's forecast, though, both it being cold right now and then through the rest of the day before we dive too deeply into what we have going on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Temperature is still cold outside right now. It is 30 degrees in Ellijay. Going to go ahead and bring that up for you here. 30 degrees up in Ellijay, 37 at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. As mentioned, it was even colder just a few hours ago. 36 in Eatonton, 34 in Griffin, 36 in Thomaston. So widespread cold weather, and we do have some frost out there this morning. Probably still some frost up in Helen, Ellijay, Carrollton at 32. Probably still some frost in the shade. Maybe the same in Covington, but it's 10 a.m. That sun angle is starting to get a little higher. And where the sun is not being, blocked out by trees, where there isn't a shadow, we're definitely seeing some melting of the frost out there. I want to remind you, especially as we get into the First Alert Weather Day, the more impactful portion of the First Alert 7-day forecast, that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday stretch. If you have questions, you can get clarification on the forecast. All you have to do is search Atlanta News First on YouTube. We're streaming on the YouTube account right now, and I am monitoring the comment threads. We have folks watching, liking the stream, but no one commenting just yet. You can also text us, 470-777-9263. That is 470-777-WANF. You can text in your photos, your comments, your questions. Again, photos during the impactful weather, and then you can simply just text us a question if you do need any clarification on the first alert forecast or with the first alert forecast. So again, a cold start, but we're warming up heading into the afternoon. It really is going to be a nice day today. I wouldn't call it warm, but warmer than it has been so far today, with temperatures peaking in the upper 40s and lower 50s around the metro. Case in point, hour-by-hour forecast. Just looking at temperatures here, by noon, we're going to be back in the mid-40s. By 3 p.m., that's around our high temperature, 51. Does not last long, though. It will be cold again tonight. Certainly chilly this evening for any of those plans that you may have. 6 p.m., we're back in the mid-40s. 9 p.m., and this is for the city of Atlanta. If you're outside of the perimeter I-285, it will cool at an even quicker rate. So it's going to get cool and chilly and cold more quickly than the city if you are anywhere else in the metro, away from the core of the concrete jungle that we call Midtown, Downtown, Buckhead portions of the city of Atlanta. Temperatures back in the mid-30s, though, even in the city by midnight tonight, and we're going to wake up to cold temperatures tomorrow. Want to bring out the first alert 7-day forecast because a lot of the weather that we are talking about, that we're focusing on and really emphasizing here, is kind of in the latter portion of the forecast. Sunday still a few days away, and even more impactful weather is in the offing after Sunday. So again, we're tracking a rain chance for our Sunday. That's the change from 24 hours ago. It was looking like rain would be spotty Sunday afternoon and evening. Now it's trending a little wetter. That forecast is trending wetter for Sunday, so we've added the first alert weather day because it does look like your plans afternoon, evening on Sunday, if they're outdoors, could easily be impacted by some of the wet weather moving back into North Georgia and metro Atlanta. We have kept the first alert weather day for Monday. We're going to wake up to really windy weather. We could have a blast of heavy rain and wind early Monday morning, probably before you're even out and about, but that could still cause some issues, especially with some lingering wet weather from the Monday morning commute. And notice these temperatures here. 55 for a low, so you're going to get out the door early Monday morning, and it could be in the mid-50s. Temperatures will fall into the 30s and 40s as we get into Monday afternoon, so opposite from normal. That's why we want to put emphasis on that day, on Monday, and give you the first alert. Hey, temperatures are going to be wacky, total 180 from what typically happens. Warmest in the morning, coldest in the afternoon, and then really free-falling through the evening hours. And we're going to wake up to temperatures Tuesday in the mid to upper 20s. That's after Monday morning, being in the mid to maybe upper 50s, and then cold air really settles in Tuesday. That wind is going to be kind of gusty Tuesday. We'll struggle to hit 40. Going to be a very cold day, and it's the first day that the real brunt of the cold air settles back into North Georgia and metro Atlanta, with Wednesday temperatures likely staying in the 30s and a widespread hard freeze Tuesday night going into Wednesday morning, with some North Metro mountain communities possibly back into the upper teens. Again, all because of a big weather pattern change and kind of a dislodging of a very cold air mass in Canada, and we'll probably have another couple of strong fronts even beyond the first alert 7-day forecast. Case in point, 10-day outlook. Want to remind you it is always available at atlantanewsfirst.com. This is a look at atlantanewsfirst.com right now. And doesn't look like we might be able to get that weather tab up. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to, but did want to show you that if you're watching, you're streaming right now, and you don't have the First Alert Weather app, or you don't have a way to download the First Alert Weather app, that is a great tool to have, to search Atlanta News First or First Alert Weather in your app or Google Play Store. But also, you can't just go to the desktop view and just go to atlantanewsfirst.com, click on First Alert Weather, and then that will bring you to the 10-day forecast. And cold weather does linger. Again, we're going to pop back up that First Alert 7-day forecast. Cold through next Wednesday, and in reality, we're cold next Thursday, we're cold next Friday, and we are cold going into not this coming weekend, though it will be cold, but actually the following weekend, with a very active cold weather pattern continuing across much of the United States. I want to remind you that we are going to continue streaming here. The Atlanta News First Plus stream at 10 a.m. is going to be wrapping up here. But we are back, wherever you are, at 11:30, streaming right here at Atlanta News First Plus. In fact, we're going to be getting some new data in by 11:30. Any further tweaks to the forecast, we'll go into depth about those, pass along any of those changes, and really just walk through some of the possibilities here, the range of solutions as to how next week may play out. There is still uncertainty, and it's kind of an unusual weather pattern developing across portions of the United States, even back here in North Georgia and metro Atlanta. So a lot to talk about coming up at 11:30 as well. Then First Alert meteorologist Rodney Harris will have your full forecast on Atlanta News First at noon on WANF, also streaming on Atlanta News First Plus. In the meantime, again, we'll keep you updated. Updates to the First Alert weather app also at atlantanewsfirst.com. I'll join you at Atlanta News First Plus, streaming weather where you are at 11:30.